Welcome back to the channel. Should I summarize loan documents? Is it a waste of my time? Is that really my job? I will cover this and many more examples of what I personally do to get paid more by utilizing a skill and how you can utilize the skill to get paid more per appointment. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, we do nothing but notary signing agent content to add more value to you, to get paid more, to have more time freedom and legacy for your family. Again, subscribe, like, and share the video if that is your cup of tea. Now, getting into it, should I summarize loan documents? Here's why this skill is so important, and it's pretty rare in the industry. Now, I am a signing service owner as well as a notary signing agent, so I can give you the perspective because I hire literally hundreds of notaries every single month and can tell the difference between those who are trained and have the skill and those who do not. Now, why it's so important, when you walk into an appointment with the signers and you can summarize the documents, it's going to do several things for you. Number one, it's going to build trust and credibility. It's going to show them and their agents that may be in the room or lender may be in the room that you know what you're talking about. You are an expert at these documents. You know the closing costs, you know every single document in the packet, its purpose, how to complete it, and what it's there for. And you can succinctly summarize it in one sentence. And that's important because if they don't have that trust and credibility that you know what the F you're talking about, what are they going to do? They're going to read that document line by line before they sign and date it. So that's why having the skill to summarize it in one sentence builds that trust and credibility. So it's going to do the next thing, which is shorten, number two, shorten your appointment time. Yes, that's right. You can get paid the same, but spend half the time there at the appointment. Doesn't that sound amazing? It's the truth. When I first started as a notary signing agent and I did not have every single document summarization under my belt, in my tool belt, when I would hand someone a document, they would read it and take their time. And I'm talking like the first 2 weeks I started, when I didn't have everything tight under my belt. I didn't have an explanation for every single document or summarization for every single document. People would read it and they would take their time because they wanted to be sure what they were signing, because I gave them no trust. I did not show them what they were talking about. I just gave them a piece of paper and I didn't know what was on it. I didn't have any confidence. I was passing it with no confidence. So they're like, oh, well, he has no idea what he's talking about. So let me get and take my time and read this. And that's what will happen. If you don't have this skill, the appointments get really long. The trust is not there. They're going to have questions about the documents and you're clearly not going to have the answers. If you couldn't summarize it, you definitely aren't going to have an answer that they have on that document. What is this? Does this apply to this? Does this apply to that? You're not going to have any answers. And it's going to make your appointment so much longer. You're going to be calling everybody and their grandmother, and no one's going to be satisfied with your service. So it's going to build trust and credibility, shorten your appointment times, and obviously you're going to get paid more. And here's how you get paid more. I am going to hire all day signing agents that have this skill that can deliver an amazing experience because they can summarize the documents and can walk someone through an ALTA settlement statement or closing disclosure. And that's it. Like, I'm happy to pay them more because I know my clients are in good hands. The signers are in good hands versus someone who is new and clearly is not trying to learn. They've taken no training. I'm not going to hire this person in the first place. And if they do get hired, it's going to be at a much lower rate. And we're probably walking through the documents prior to the appointment, which we're happy to do if they're coachable. But the point is, you want the skill so you can get repeat business from both signing services on their preferred list and your direct title clients. Trust me, when your direct title clients know you have this skill set and they've gotten that feedback repeatedly from the realtors in the room, buyers and sellers you're doing closings for, the lenders that will step in sometimes and be in there, they're happy to send you as many closings as you want because they know there's not going to be any issues because you've got it handled, because you are knowledgeable and you have those skills. Now, if you've never walked someone through a closing settlement statement or a closing disclosure or summarized documents, my suggestion to you would be to read a package line by line, every single page. That's what I did when I first started. I just read this boring information and tried to get a handle on what the purpose of the document was. And if I didn't know what it was after reading it several times, I would just ask other notaries I knew in Facebook groups or in personally knew locally about, hey, how do you summarize this particular document? But that's all it takes at the beginning, is a ton of reading, investing the time on yourself to take that time, ask questions, and then figure out, okay, this is how I summarize that document. You write the summary on the document, what you would say in one sentence or less to present sign it, and then you do a mock signing with your spouse or your brother or your children or a stuffed animal and pretend someone's there and go through the motions. That way you get that confidence because you get that muscle memory of saying, hey, this is the mortgage, and then you give your summary, which I'm going to cover in a minute. So repetition is key, but the truth of the matter is you have to take the time to just read every document. It's annoying as crap, but every title document set and every loan document set will typically have the same type of documents. It'll just look slightly different, but they're going to have the same key documents in there. But if you have the skill set, you'll give them that trust that you know what you're talking about, especially at the beginning. At the beginning, I always go over the settlement statement or the closing disclosure if it's a refinance or HELOC. And at that point, they know, since I've gone through everything line by line, I've demonstrated my knowledge, they know I'm the expert and they're happy to start signing and dating away. I still give them the one sentence explanation because I can, and that's the minimum service I want to provide to them. But it goes much faster because I built that trust and credibility at the beginning, going over the numbers, answering those basic questions. So key skill, you must have it. I personally took the loan signing system, incredible resource, goes over a lot of the loan document summaries, amazing Facebook group of 10,000 plus notaries that are all in the same boat. We're starting, we're growing, we're scaling. We've got the same training. It's a very positive environment. If you're interested in taking training at the loan signing system, feel free to check out the link in the description below, and I would be happy to help support the channel. We would appreciate it if you did. Now, those of you who have taken that course know it's an amazing course, tons of information besides just summarizing documents, marketing, your business, etc. But moving on, explaining versus summarizing. So this is where we'll hear the argument from I'll see other notary trainers on YouTube or other notary YouTubers just talking about, should I be explaining the documents at all? And most of the time the answer is, as far as explaining the documents, not really. That's not really our lane to stay in because we're not attorneys. So we don't want to, be hit with the, practice of law. We're not trying to pretend that we're attorneys. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is you know what the document is, you can summarize it and basically build that trust for the signer. So let me give you an example. An LPOA, or limited power of attorney documents, usually one page. You'll typically see one in the loan documents and the title documents most of the time. And if you read it, it's going to be slightly different for each version, but most of the time it's saying something to the effect of, this allows the title company to complete any documents that we missed. So sometimes that's initials, or if there's a spot to sign, it allows the title company to do that on your behalf should we miss something in here. So you don't have to do this again. So the way I summarize a LPOA to a signer is, this is a limited power of attorney. It just allows the title company to complete any documents we may miss as we're going through this pile of documents, so you don't have to do this twice. That you don't have to sign again. That's how I say it. That's it. I'm not saying exactly what documents it covers, even though it's in the language of the document. I'm giving them a high level, this is the purpose of this document. And if they want to read it from that point forward, they can. Perfectly fine. You're allowed to do it. It's your documents. I'm not rushing anyone to do it or forcing anyone to do it, but I am going to give them a summary of what it is I'm presenting so they have an idea. So at that point, they can choose to read if they want, or if they trust me, they don't want to read every line, that's fine too. I'm good either way, I'm not pushing. But having that summary of each document is critical, but I'm not pretending to be a lawyer. I'm not saying, what the law is on what they're allowed or not allowed to do. I'm just presenting the document because I've read it and I know the intention of the document, and I'm summarizing it versus explaining. So what versus why questions. So for example, let me give you examples of the 5 key documents that most of us will start off at the beginning. So let's say we're starting with the closing disclosure or the settlement statement, either one. Closing disclosure, if I'm presenting it to the signers and they say, hey, what's my interest rate? I should be able to say it's 6% and point that right out in the documents. That's pretty straightforward. Now, if they say, why is it 6%? I would say, well, that's the conversation you've had with your lender. If you need clarity on why it's 6, maybe you're thinking it's a different number, we're more than happy to call them. Let's call them. Get them on speakerphone, call them. Hey, they had a quick question on why the interest rate was 6%, Mr. Lender. You're on speakerphone with the borrowers. And that's it. So I can easily point out the what questions. What is my interest rate? Versus the why is my interest rate? I can't really answer that because that's above my pay grade because I don't know. I don't know the conversation you've had with your lender. Give you another example. My monthly payment, does that include taxes and insurance? You should be able to point that out right there at a closing disclosure or the settlement statement. Yes, it includes your escrow for the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance that are due. You see there's 2 months in there already, pre-funded, and there's a slight buffer, 2 months of a buffer in there as well. I should be able to explain, I say explain, but I should be able to summarize that like, yes, your monthly payment does include taxes and insurance. You can see your escrow account right there. And there's also 2 months of a buffer, assuming it's a settlement statement or the second page of the CD. So I should be able to point those things out. Is there cash to close? Right there at the bottom of page 1 of the closing disclosure or the bottom of the settlement statement. Yes, cash due from the borrower, this amount. Did you already wire that into the title company? Do you have a check, etc.? You should be able to point those things out. So that's what I'm talking about, the what versus the why, okay? On the note, you should be able to point out that, yes, this is the principal and interest amount of the loan you have. It's due on the 1st of this month. You should be able to point out that there is a grace period from the 1st to the 15th that they have to pay. It's right in there in bold in most cases on the note. There is a 4 or 5% late fee after the 15th that the lender will hit you with. You should be able to point that out. So those are things you should be able to point out. The loan term, 15, 20, 30 years, ends on last payment on, April 1st, 2054, 30 years in this case. So you should be able to point all that out. It's in black and white, most of the time bolded on the note for the borrower, so they should have confidence in signing the note. On the right to cancel form, if it's a refinance of their principal residence, you should be able to point out that here's today's date. You have 3 business days to decide if you want to cancel the loan or not. If you do, here's how you cancel. You would sign this part and send that into the lender by midnight of the 15th or whatever day it is on the document. And if you don't want to cancel right now, sign the bottom part and this copy goes back to the lender. Here's your 2 signed copies for you to keep. So you should be able to point that out and the purpose of the document, the right to cancel the loan form. Deed of trust or mortgage, usually going to be 15 to 30 pages depending on the state, is a letter or legal size paper, but it's a very long document. If you can't summarize this document, this is going to take a long time for them to read the 25 to 30 some paragraphs in it, depending on what state we're talking about. They're going to have a lot of questions. Or you can present it, deed of trust. Mr. and Mrs. Barr, this is your deed of trust. It just says there is a loan against the property. That makes the lender happy. The only 2 things I'm looking at is your name correct here on the first page. Perfect. And on page 2, is that loan amount correct? Because it matched all the other documents, and the loan term, 30 years. Perfect. The rest is the same as every deed of trust in this state or mortgage in this state. Please sign a date here on the last page. That's it. But present it with confidence. Hey, this is not a big deal. This is in here. You don't have any choice but to sign this. I'm not saying that, but the whole point is if you present it as not a big deal, and here's what it is, and here's why it's in here, it's very standard, people are comfortable, they'll sign. If you present it and you have no summary, people get scared. They start reading a lot. So have that explanation ready. First payment letter. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Barr, here's your first payment letter. Same numbers as we saw in the closing disclosure, that first monthly payment right there. And here it just itemizes your principal and interest, your homeowner's insurance, and your property taxes. Again, doing the first, you have until the 15th, sign a date here. The note, I typically just tell them, hey, this is your note. This is the IOU document. Again, we're just confirming that, yep, same loan amount. First payment's due on the 1st. You have until the 15th every month. After the 15th, they hit you with a late fee, and please sign on this last page here. That's it. So each document, I'm trying to have 1 sentence, ideally, for each single document. Hey, this is your name affidavit. If you see any other alternatives of your name, it's because it's pulled from your credit history, but they're just asking you to sign saying, yes, this is indeed your name. Please sign a date here, or sign these 3 versions right over here. So whatever it may be, if it's a owner's affidavit, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Barr, this is your owner's affidavit. This is just saying that you swear, best of your knowledge, that there's nothing else against title other than the mortgage, which we're already aware of. It was already on the settlement statement. That's it. Sign a date here. That's it. So again, read every single document, have a 1-sentence explanation. I typically would write it down when I was training and give that explanation on mock signing. So when you do it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, it starts to come out smoother. You can say it and it's just a muscle memory at that point. And if you have this skill, you will get more business, number 1, because people will throw money at you because you are a trustworthy, knowledgeable notary that can deliver a smooth experience because you can quickly summarize documents. Give you an example. When I first started, as I mentioned, I wasn't explaining, or I should say, I wasn't summarizing documents. I didn't have that confidence yet. I just knew a little bit. And my appointments took, an hour to an hour and a half. Once I got experience under my belt and I could summarize documents and the trust was there, my appointments shortened to anywhere between 15 minutes to 40 minutes is a long appointment. So people will sign faster if you build this trust. You have to practice the skill though. So I suggest mock signing in front of someone. So I hope this has helped as far as why you should summarize documents at all. You're going to get paid more, you're going to build trust and credibility, and the appointments will get much faster. So if this has helped, please share, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're a notary who has direct title business and you want to get paid direct deposit every single month for doing nothing, listen up. If you have direct title clients and they're getting inconsistent closings for their signing service when they have out-of-state mailaways in other states you're not commissioned in, all you have to do is email them and CC me, Brad at superlativesignings.com, and just say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Title Client, Brad and his team will be happy to take care of your out-of-state closings that I can't personally do because I'm not commissioned in all 50 states. And that's it. And every single closing they send our way, I will pay you direct deposit, 10% every single month, uncapped commission in your bank account. That's it. It's a win for everyone involved. So if you're not interested because you're about to start a signing service, let me give you a helpful video right here on how to start a signing service. You're welcome. But if you're not and you don't want that headache and you want to get paid uncapped commissions, take advantage of that. We have notaries that do that every single month. So I appreciate you hanging out to the end of the video. You are the 1%, the die-hard notaries that are trying to build, grow, and scale your business. I respect the crap out of you because I am exactly where you're at. Always trying to build and scale so I have more time freedom with my family and flexibility and a bigger legacy to lead to that. So I appreciate you hanging out to the end of the video. And until next time, happy signings and peace.